We should make everyone at home feel a little jealous if you can hear the crinkling in the background.
There's ice cream being served today.
Ice cream bars instead of coffee. It's a summer treat thanks to Fides Mortgage.
Happy summer solstice.
That's right.
That was exactly why you did it, right?
Yes, exactly. How was Ribfest, Fran? How was Ribfest?
Was good.
Yeah?
My head started.
Oh, yeah, because you were out. I was outside all day.
It was
yeah.
It was a good exposure.
Yeah,
It was
good
fun.
exposure. It was, yeah. That's
Kids
good.
got some bags they got to paint.
There were about 50,000 people walked in.
Oh, wow. Did you have a lead gen, like were you taking people's information or anything?
Everyone
or?
was my team at the beer tent.
Oh.
They were,
Oh, no. That's a failed system.
because I think my son was working hard.
Yeah, yeah.
Kids
that's
were
true.
working really hard,
That's
actually.
good.
They were handing out bags and
There are going to
paint.
be 34 leads.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, nice. That's all
We had
right.
about 200 leads.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're following up, but we had about
Yeah, good.
For those people at home there, so Vran had a tent, I guess, at the Pickering Ribfest. I know somebody else had like a water station, whatever
Yeah.
else. So
Yeah,
if,
Van Zeltine.
so when you say you got 200 leads, how'd you do that? Talking to
we
Vran
had,
here.
painting the tote bag. So people come with the kids, so we want to make sure the kids are focused. So while the kids were painting the tote bags, the agents were talking to their parents.
Okay, good. All right. So you didn't have like a draw?
You guys had some draws?
give
Giving
it-
them draw as well for Chuck and Gabby.
So is that how you got their names, addresses,
Yeah.
email addresses through the draw? Yeah, good. Good.
It is good.
Some people do that at open houses too, right? They'll auction off something and they'll get the like real names and numbers. If anybody has problems in open houses getting real names and numbers, they give a gift away and all of a sudden you get the real numbers
Yeah,
in
it's
that.
just human nature. Yeah, if you have a booth or a table, or you gotta have something in exchange for information. I know some people are running buyer seminars. Archana just had a successful seminar.
She
as
went at
well.
BMO and 17 people there.
That's really cool. Yeah,
She said she was really nervous. It was her first time speaking in front of anyone.
So who did that?
Archana.
Archana did it with a BMO mortgage rep and I think a couple other professionals, and they had 17 people. A couple of them she said were her family and friends, but that's even better.
Yeah, yeah. I know Elizabeth in Orangeville also did an investment seminar. She had a really cool idea to make it more like a workshop where she had an actual workbook and asked questions and they were writing things down, so it wasn't just information that they were giving to them. So if you can't do open houses, there's still ways to get in front of your clients that
Natsumi
way.
also did, I don't think it was a real estate event this time, but she organized like the Asian community that she's part of, and
Yeah.
they had like a big social event, so that was kind of cool too.
Yeah. I wonder if it's worth it for us to do some sort of seminar training where we can bring people together. They can share ideas of what's worked before if we're going to
Yeah.
get into that mode now.
What's it say?
So open house yesterday, Ajax. This is Celine, 3-bedroom, 3-bath townhouse priced well. Only 2 groups, very slow. Okay. I wonder, can you ask Celine, was that a brand new listing or sort of fresh on the market? Did anyone else do open houses? No, Sandeep's running buyers, so he's running around doing showings. Any open houses? I know Sophia did one on Ajax. I was curious because she's doing the strategy where we're listing low on the 3rd price improvement. So we're kind of going backwards a little bit, but she is getting a ton of showing. So I'm curious how the open house went. So we'll see how that strategy goes. And I know we'll talk about stats a little bit as well, but yeah. Quieter in
Listing
general. I think
tenanted.
summer market, it was summer solstice.
Tenanted
so-
listing.
Tenanted listing. Oh, that's interesting.
Price low.
Okay. I wonder how you convinced the tenants to let you do an open house. They must have been the ones that maybe were making the move to leave.
Maybe they weren't doing showings, so the open house
True.
was the
instead
showing
of-
time.
That's true.
Maybe they should.
Maybe the tenant should buy it.
I am hearing little grumblings of people that are running tenants and now they're kind of asking the agents like, well, what would it cost to buy? Because I'm looking at spending like $3,000 a month. And so they are starting to ask questions like maybe we should talk to a mortgage broker to see, you know, what's the feasibility to buy it, because it's sort of this weird spot right now where they're both a lot. So that might start to happen soon. And I have an article actually to talk to you about that. But yeah, cool. I didn't hear anything else really about open houses.
So is there anybody who's got listings that are not selling? I'm looking at Nelson here to see we've got
A lot.
What are raises last week there? She's bouncing up and down, up and down. Is it Sophia? Do you remember the numbers? I talked to
I
her.
do.
A crazy number at 9 something, which
Yeah.
the client, that was the client's price.
Yeah, it started actually before us too, before we took it as a brokerage client's price. It's still actually even the list low now. It's still the client's list low price. It's not the price that I would have done to list low. But we don't have a crystal ball right now either. So I hate to say, well, try this. I'm guaranteed to work because I don't know. We have to just try something.
$749.
$749 right now,
That's what we talked about before.
holding Wednesday. Yeah.
Because the last 699 only sold a little bit over 7, so
Yeah.
that's why we're a little bit more.
So
Yeah.
we figured the target's how much? 700?
Target's
Wants something with an
850.
8 in it now,
But no, but the market says it's worth 750, or
Market says it's worth 825 probably.
a little bit over 8.
Yeah.
the market says it's worth a little over 8, and the client wants,
850.
and we couldn't get it at all.
Not yet. But we're holding Wednesdays, so we'll see.
But didn't they try? I thought they tried like 1.1 or something, and then no.
No, not that high.
I'm thinking
no.
about a different one.
No,
Okay.
no.
Anyway, so I talked to her a little bit on Friday as well. Just explained to her, and you guys, same thing. If you've got a client that, if you've got a property that's not selling, it's not your responsibility. Like your job is to, like, you want to be on the same side. You don't want to be against each other. Do you find that?
Yeah.
Like
You have to educate.
Like you find that all of a sudden now you feel guilty. You feel you don't want to talk to your client. You feel all of a sudden you feel responsible. All of a sudden you feel guilty for the property not selling. That's a whole mindset, right? So you got to get out of that mindset and understand that you guys are partners. You're on the same side. You're trying to help each other.
You have to take the emotion out of it completely as the agent.
Yeah, and
'Cause you're just gonna
and
drive
your
yourself
client. Your
insane.
client's got his reasons why they want the price, but you have to explain to them. Look, I guess we all have jobs here. Your job is to make sure the property is available for showings. Your job is to make sure that the property's in good shape and it's clean. It's no clutter. Your job is to make sure that it's easy showings. My job is to market the property, expose to everybody, make sure we have lots of showings. And part of your job is to price it. Right, so if you want to leave it at, you were trying to get $700,000 or $850,000, you're trying to get $1 million for it, then that's on you, right? So it's not,
Like I was trying to explain to some clients, like in like the nicest way possible, like the buyers don't really care what the sellers need. Like the seller's like, I need this, but the buyers like don't care. This is what they want to pay. And ultimately the buyers are kind of in charge right now. So we can try to get what the sellers want, but at the end of the day, the buyers really don't care what they need for the property.
So I reminded this agent here again about the listing track. And just I'll remind you guys again, listing track is where it keeps track of your realtor.ca web page visits. So as part of what you're telling your client, look, I'm doing my job. In this particular case here, we had I think it was like 1,700 people saw the property through realtor.ca and other means. 57 of those people shared that listing with somebody else, yet we still haven't got any offers. So going back to what I said originally, my job as the realtor job is to market the property and get it going. We've exposed it to almost 2,000 people. We've had 57 people. We still haven't got an offer. I've done my job. Your job is to price it right. The price is too high, right? But you're also talking on the same side. You're both trying to achieve the same thing.
Yeah.
We both want to get the property sold, right?
Yeah.
You could also try putting a St. Joe statue in the yard.
Did
It
that
worked
work?
for me, so also dropping the price really
Just
helped,
pray.
but
We have to say,
praying
don't
really
pray,
helped.
pray.
Put a little St. Joseph's statue in your listing package.
But sometimes you have sellers that just don't want to play.
They don't want to listen to your advice.
know.
They think they're
So then it goes back to motivation.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody that's not motivated isn't going to be selling the property at the price that your property sell for. Case in point, I came across this back in July 20th, 24. This guy here's like, I only dropped the price so much inside one condo's owner desperate attempt to sell
You
in
love
Toronto's
this one.
ghost market. He's been trying to sell this place since July, and he's complaining how he paid X amount of dollars for it, and it's on Charlotte Street at King Street in Spadina area. That was in July 24. He tried to sell it private. He tried to sell it through mere
agents.
postings. And now, let's see, he reduced it to $579, that didn't work. Reduced it to increased it to $669, that didn't work. $639, that didn't work.
You're gonna tell us it's sold, right?
$599, that didn't work. Back up to $649, that didn't work. And he's sitting today at $639, still didn't work, and it's still sitting on the market.
The buyer.
Wait, he like increased it.
Yes.
It's a condominium.
How many square feet?
600. Well, no, it's a boutique.
Doesn't matter. The price is too
The
high.
price is too high.
The buyers do not agree
Maintenance
with
fees are
that
$650,
price.
so I'm assuming the square footage is going to be around $500.
Yeah. So this is a challenge in the market because buyers don't care what
The
you
buyers
need.
don't
Some
care.
people need that to discharge the mortgage, so they're not taking
So
the
the
loss.
sellers either have to
They have to
keep the property or sell it at a loss because
that's not the price. Just because you need it doesn't mean you're gonna get it. You're most likely not going to.
yeah.
So that's a tough one, eh? So it goes,
Yeah, it's really
keeps on going. Now, I was talking to another agent recently, and just hopefully you guys don't do this, but another agent who's paid for, well, okay, let me rephrase it. The client decided that they don't want to sell in the spring because they're not getting their price, they're going to wait till the fall. My question to my agent was, did you pay for staging? Yes, I did. So be careful out there.
That
Right.
they want to cancel and relist in the fall.
Well, I don't know. They're going to cancel now and relist. So she's already spent $3,000 on staging. Come the fall, she's going to spend another $3,000 on
For
staging.
those types of clients, we usually say no. You have to pay for that staging.
Well-
At least we have the photos already of what it looked like. But
Sometimes you don't know.
The
though.
problem is you don't know what the client's going to decide at the time, right?
Yeah.
You'll have good intentions, and it's on the market,
So-
doesn't sell, and then
I think in that
energy
case,
changes.
if the sellers do want to restage it, I think they should have to pay for
They
it
should pay
that
now. I would
round.
get-
Or
yeah.
you tell them how much it is,
Yeah.
and then otherwise you just keep the photos that you had before, and it's just an unstaged property
Yeah,
for showing.
and I would take an exclusive listing.
It's very expensive.
for that time period. We do know someone that did do a relist, had it staged, did the photos. She relisted now. They just didn't stage it again. They just used
Yeah.
the same photos and they just put it in the
Just make
broker's
sure it's
marks.
clean.
Currently not staged any longer, but it was clean, and yeah, they're not going to invest it again.
Yes. It's just a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just be careful. I'm not saying don't do it. You have to do what you have to do.
But be
But,
careful. It's a
you know,
risk.
why not say, like, once you pay for it, I'll reimburse you, or
I've been seeing that a lot with some agents last
Right.
week. They're doing this, the sellers pay for the staging, then we're reimbursing them.
I'm aware of an agent. I'm just telling you these guys just what people are doing out there. I'm aware of an agent that says if you cancel, I'll cancel the listing if you want, but you got to pay me $5,000 for my time and my expense.
So they gave like a solid flat
Yeah,
fee.
and I have other people say that you can cancel the listing anytime you want, but sorry, you can transfer the listing anytime you want to whoever you want at any time you want, provided you get X amount of dollar referral fee. So there are things you can do out there, but it's, you know.
The
best
only
thing, of
problem
course-
with those things is that it might affect your future business as well.
So just be careful when you're pricing. Pricing is important. Who believes that prices are going to go up? Or I don't know. We've got one. We're looking at one right now. We think the price might be $900,000. Not our listing. $900,000. The guy's tried what 1.1, 1.2. He turned down 1.1. It's not It's not our nothing to do with us. But
Imagine $1,050,000 and providing 3%.
and then now they put it at $1,050,000. And here's what they've done. And this is the part that always confuses me. They've offered 3% commission.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but real estate agents are not going to be motivated by 3% commission. They will be motivated by 3% commission, but they're not going to pay 1.50 for it. They're going to pay 900 for it, whatever it's worth. I don't know agents that can be, what's the word, enticed to sell an overpriced property. I don't know anybody able to do that.
No, especially in a time crunch. I've seen 3% if sold by X date. Like the buyers, again, they don't care about the date. They don't care about the time pressure.
The crazy thing about this property is they actually closing in August on a pre-construction in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
So they're desperate, right?
Yeah.
So they need their money.
But they had 1.1. I just don't get why they didn't.
It's because we're not doing a good job telling them.
They have to be
the risk.
pushy with that first
We have
offer.
to say, this is your best offer. If you don't take this offer, you will regret it. Because I have seen it over and over. My brokerage has seen it over and over. I know you haven't been there, but you will be there. We have seen it happen. We have to be better at telling them what's going to happen.
Yeah. But I can see it on the agent side when we're like, yep, I agree that's not the goal price. Let's keep going because you want to be on your client side, but
Yeah.
that's a stressful move too.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
talking about Rich Robbins? Or did you guys
Nope.
want me to?
Yep.
So Rich Robbins did a little thing today, and Rich Robbins, you can get it online. He did his market update for Canada, not just Toronto. He says all across Canada for year to date, the prices are down 4%. He's talking about prices, not units, right? He's saying though, think about this. Think about in 2015. I'm talking about buyers here right now, okay? 2015, the average price across Canada was $400,000. In 225, the average price is $700,000. So in 10 years, right? They made, and he's saying here that it's not like real estate is not a short-term investment. Right? It's a long-term investment. He had a good little saying here. He says, "Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and then wait."
Don't tell Alex that.
Right? So that makes sense, right? Months of inventory across Canada about 4.9. Predictions, he's saying here that pretty much what we saw the first half of this year, we're going to see the second half of this year.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So if the buyers are waiting for something to happen, it's not going to happen. If the sellers are waiting for something to happen, it's not going to happen. We're going to be in the same market.
What are you waiting for?
So what are we waiting for, right?
Yeah.
Let's just move on. It's time to move on.
It is
right?
time to move on. Yeah.
But again, you have to show stats, and you can't be, you're not me against him. We're on the same side here. These are all just the stats. Great opportunity for buyers right now because there's 33,000 active listings. 33,000 active listings. There's got to be room for buyers out there. There's a good opportunity there. But it's all in the mindset, right? Same as yourself in the mindset. You yourself, if you yourself believe that, gee, the market sucks, I'm not going to sell anything, you're probably right.
Yep.
Right? But if you see opportunity here, then away you go. So you may all even want to find opportunity. If you look at listings on there, like we're looking at right now, it's $750,000 for this place, right? If it's a good deal, it sounds like a good deal. I would go in after my buyer saying you can buy this place for $750, or even on my social media.
Yeah.
Why are you paying rent when you can buy this place for X amount of dollars?
Yeah.
In fact, that was one of the marketing things we did in the 90s. We got away from pricing itself, like advertising, saying this property's worth $700,000, $800,000. We got away from that, and what it did instead is you can have this house for $2,500 a month.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can have this house for $3,000 a month.
More education.
Ask me questions. You don't have to give all the details. 20% down. Whatever the math works out there, but maybe think about that. So if somebody's paying like $2,700, $2,800, $3,000 for renting, what are they thinking about, right?
Yep.
So something to do there. He also says skills. You got to control your attitude, and skills in pricing homes. So you got to be skillful with pricing homes. If you take an overpriced listings from day one, you're behind the eight ball right off the bat. Because now you're defending your price, especially if it's your price, right?
Yeah.
If it's a client's price, then you can make it clear it's the client's price.
What are their expectations?
You still get that, Nelson? I get that, right? You get some client phoning you up saying that my property's not selling, my agent's not doing it.
Yeah.
Did my agent suggest maybe a price reduction? No, my agent never said anything about price reduction.
Yeah, I think people are scared to say it.
You have to say in that first meeting.
People don't like being bad news. It's not bad news, it's just news.
And you don't want to give bad news either, so. Good.
You want to keep rolling into
Okay, so stats. So we got 33,108 as of last night. Is it more than that today?
33.54.
Are you over it now? Like,
So we sold. So we sold.
We're 35 now.
We
You're
sold.
waiting for 35 now as a target,
We sold
okay.
54 houses since I did this last night to today, right? So there's 33,000 actual listings. 14,000 are condo. 19,000 are freeholds. Vacant. Of all the properties that are listed for sale right now, 33% are vacant. Of those, it's 26% of freeholds are vacant, and condominiums, 42% of condominiums for sale today are vacant. That makes 42% of all condominiums for sale today are vacant. Freehold are 26%.
Still a lot.
Right. So sales themselves were actually down 3% from May of last year, around 4,400. Minus 3% is okay. Even condos are only minus 5%, and freeholds are minus 3%, so that's not bad. Sales over 101%, if you're asking how often do you do that. 22% of properties that are all selling are selling for more than asking, so that's about, let's say, a quarter. 26% of freeholds are selling for over asking, and only 15% of condominiums are selling for over asking. So suggestion is if you're trying to underprice a condominium, trying to get multiple offers, you got a 15% chance.
It's lower.
Right? So it's there. Sales themselves compared to May 22nd versus June 22nd, sales were actually up 7%. We're doing about 189 per day. So that's pretty strong. So 189, so almost 6,000 for the month, which is all right. Leases, 18,000, 7,000 are freeholds, 10,000 are condominium. Of all the leases, 52% are vacant. 55% of freeholds are vacant. These are freehold leases. 50% of condominium leases are vacant. So it's actually freeholds are more. The freeholds are more than condos. It's different, right? And if I compare it to May 22nd, sales for leases are up 5%. So that's strong.
That's interesting. I'm noticing a trend, our agents are doing it a lot too, where people are listing it for sale and for lease at the same time. So it kind of makes sense that this is vacant because I bet they're testing both to see which one happens first. And if you do that too, by the way, make sure to let the girls know when it leases or sells to cancel the other one. We've had a couple times where the agent just assumed that we would know that because it leased, the other one didn't, but we still need a cancellation form. So just let us know, give us direction for that. I wonder if people are testing it out. sitting there vacant and see what they get first. It's interesting.
Just back on stats for a little bit here, which is all good news. Everybody likes good news with stats, right? Average price in January was
Just over a million, $1,040,000.
$1,040,000. So January $1,040,000. February $1,086,000. March $1,092,000. April $1,107,000. May $1,120,000. So every month this year, prices have increased.
So what's the buyers waiting for? they're waiting for the
So they're waiting for the prices to drop, and I just told you for the prices have increased for the last 5 months.
They were waiting for U.S. to bomb our
I know.
The bottom
Right.
already happened.
That's right.
So that just tells me if you read the papers and believe the papers, then you know it's bad news, right? But now it just tells me that the prices are going up. So what are we talking about?
Yeah, no, it's confusing. This article, it's quite positive. I liked reading it, but they're saying home prices have stabilized because they're looking at all over Ontario, not just the GTA, what we just mentioned. But it does look like prices are stabilizing a little bit. It's confusing because you hear stories about things, going under value, but overall, it has stabilized a little bit. Condo prices, though, are consistent all over Ontario. They're down 8%. Townhouses down 6%. Again, this is Ontario as well. But overall, we saw sales higher a little bit from May versus April, so that was a good thing. Overall, a lot of the volume is still coming from Greater Toronto Area, Calgary, and Ottawa. So that's a good thing for us. I think the GTA will be quite healthy. And the general theme that I'm reading is that this is sort of the new normal. It didn't crash, it didn't spike, it's not crazy, but maybe this is sort of finally the stabilization. We still have a lot of political stuff happening as well. That will always be there too, but reading in general, I felt like all the articles were much more positive than they have been. I don't know, Claire, if you found the same thing or not, but I'm reading a lot of words like balance, stabilizing, people that have been planning for an upgrade or an upgrade are able to do that. Of course, there's still people that are really hurting, and those are the ones that are over leveraged or that bought in the peak of the market or that tried to invest in those markets. But yeah. Still reading that middle income earners are looking to leave Toronto. So not necessarily leaving Ontario, but that they still want to live outside the city. But a problem that we're going to see is that we have a lot of essential workers that are leaving the city. So a lot of people that can't afford to be here in Toronto, a lot of our healthcare workers, educators, first responders, even retail workers, anyone that's deemed essential to make a city work, are considering changing jobs or moving altogether. So that will be concerning as well. It's saying that the congestion, expensive homes have pushed people out of the city. The annual income needed to purchase a home in Toronto is $235,000. So that's quite high as the average income needed, whereas the average income that a median household earns is only $100,000. So there's still a big discrepancy there. But people are commuting 2 hours of work, can't afford to live, and that's going to, cause strain on the employment because they'll just end up quitting their jobs and they're not going to work at all. And then of the ages that are leaving is between 25 and 31. So a lot of our younger people don't want to live in the city. They're trying to move out. And we see that in our own clients as well, moving out of the city, right? Yeah.
Any guesses for July 30th? When's July 30th?
In a
Far
month?
away.
Not July.
June 30th, you mean?
Sorry, when is June 24th?
That's tomorrow.
Okay. July's so far away. I don't know. Anyway, so I guess it's too far away to guess. I've got Rand here, so just thinking. So July 30th is the next interest rate announcement. Do we expect it to increase or decrease? But it's still a month away. So, you really honestly expect a decrease?
Either stay the same.
I think of staying the same. The reason why I'm saying that is that you've got buyers who are saying they want to wait, and we're thinking, wait for what, right? Like if interest rates are going to stay the same, so if they're waiting for interest rates to drop, they're likely not going to drop. So I wouldn't wait for that. July 30th, okay, and then tomorrow, July 24th, we'll find out what the new CPI rate is, the cost of living. In April, it came in at 1.7. And the reason why it dropped from I think 2.1 or 2 or 3, whatever it is, down to 1.7 because of the carbon tax. the carbon tax was taken off, and therefore the CPI went down to 1.7. So now we've had carbon tax gone for a while now. We'll figure out what the cost of living is going to be tomorrow. And that's going to have a direct correlation to the interest rates. Americans don't seem to be reducing their rates at all, so I really can't see us doing ours either. So.
You know, like they would do one little decrease just for goodwill.
You'd hope they would, but
Just a little surge. We've been talking about how good of an opportunity it is for buyers right now, and it is, but you want to be cautious with what you're telling buyers because prices are still high. You still don't want them to go in at exactly what they were approved for necessarily. So it's not unusual for us to do a buyer intake, and they often don't want to tell us what they're approved for because they think that we're going to set that as their budget. So they'll usually say, well, we were approved for hire, but we only want to spend X. And that's not a bad idea to do that. You don't want to stretch out your finances too much, especially if you're in the younger generation. So there's a lot of things that we tell people, which is having a first home savings account, pay off or at least reduce some of your debt, attend to your credit score, get pre-approved, budget for closing costs and a down payment. But the one thing that is an opportunity for us as agents to let people know is don't stretch out your budget. So spend less than the maximum amount set out by your lender. So, you know, trying to save money so that you can sort of future-proof yourself. So if anyone bought in a high market right now, they're hurting a little bit because they kind of overstretched it. But had they bought a little bit less than their max, they would have been able to sort of carry on the brunt of that rising interest rate. But you know, things like rising home equity doesn't help pay your bills unless you're tapping into the home equity with a line of credit, which is also going to cost more interest. So housing affordability is still high. We're recommending don't extend yourself to the maximum to buy anyhow, but buy less than what you can afford. Plan to live there for at least 5 to 10 years. So again, going back to what you were saying earlier, real estate is meant to buy, to hold, and to live in and enjoy. And that will allow you to create an emergency fund, start retirement savings, spend money on vacations, and just enjoying life. And that you might need to compromise. So it might mean less square footage, maybe less number of bedrooms, maybe it's a smaller yard, maybe it's a condo as opposed to a house right from the get-go. But sort of offsetting the financial now will allow you to be flexible to pay your mortgage over time. So just if you're working with buyers, yes, it's a good opportunity, but you know, with some caution as well that they're not maxing themselves out so they can future-proof themselves. You're doing some extra stats.
I'm doing some stats while we're doing here. So
Yes.
So I just mentioned here about the prices have gone up since January.
In the GTA, yeah.
And the Toronto Real Estate Board. Okay, okay. So sales so far for a year to date are minus 20%.
Total unit sales.
Right, total unit sales. But I just told you here the average price, right? Average price from January, $1,040,000, and it ended up at $1,120,000. Let's look at the units for a second here, right? The units in January were 3,800. February went to 4,100. March was 4,900. April 5,500. May 6,200. And this month we're going to cruise around 6,400. So actually both units and prices have gone up every month so far this year. So what are we waiting for?
What are we waiting for?
So these are stats that hopefully you'll be able to have in your head. You'll be able to show your clients as well. These things are all positive things in my mind. So
Yeah. And for people that are real numbers people, I don't know if you read Toronto Realty blog, but he does a monthly sort of update on stats, and he's a big sort of stats guy, and he'll really dig into it. But in this month's blog, he talked a little bit about how when you read average prices, like what Claire just read, some people are saying that the lack of condo sales is actually pushing up the average price because there's a lack of sales. There's more freeholds selling, so therefore it's increasing that monthly price. So he's really, I'm not going to go into it in this meeting, but it's an interesting read if you're into the numbers because he kind of dissects what average price means versus unit sales that you just talked about. He gives an example of how he was at a listing appointment and he was telling his builder client about, you know, the average sales price in certain areas. And the client says, well, I want to know what the HPI is of C11, which tells you that he's kind of educated and he knows about HPI. And this person's point of view was, I can give you the HPI, but the HPI in your area is only 2 houses that sold. So the HPI is not that accurate because the sample size was only 2 units versus when we use the averages, the sample size is a lot bigger. It's actually more accurate in the way of predicting trends because your sample size is a little bit bigger. So with an agent, you really have to know all of the stats, depending on especially the client who you're talking to, but they're recommending you need to know GTA average home price, which is what you just said, which is at just over $1 million. Toronto 416 average home price, if that's where your client is. If it's 905, you might want to look at just 905. GTA HPI versus Toronto 416 HPI. So you want to have all these different levels of stats so you can kind of tell the story that you're looking to, but it's not just one stat you need to know. You need to know how to talk about all of them, especially if your clients are really savvy. But I don't know, Claire, if you read this article yet, but he really digs into, he makes his own Excel tables, and he's really looking at the proportionate share of sales, and it's quite fascinating if you're into the numbers part of it.
Yeah, it really depends on you and your client.
Yeah.
Okay, and a lot of stats for a lot of real estate agents being left brain, right brain being logical. The stats just bore everybody to death, right? Mm-hmm. So, and it's hard.
Yeah, some clients want to know what you're going to do, staging and marketing. They want to know the fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to be able to, justify the pricing and know your numbers, know the stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this article here, same thing. It says May home sales down 4.3% from last year, but activity up month over month. Yeah, so if you're not number one in the category, you change the category. So.
It's true. I like this. Canada's housing frenzy is over, and yes, it's a good thing. So again, this is coming back to that theme of balance and stability. We're not in the market that was rapid price increases and bidding wars and frenzied speculation. I almost have PTSD from that time a little bit, don't you? Like,
Yeah,
I don't.
we
I
wanted
don't
this.
want that.
We wanted this market.
This is actually kind of what we wanted, a nice balanced market where we had work-life balance in our businesses as well. You have buyers that are able to put conditions in and really make timely decisions. I would say it sort of veers on and too much time. I think buyers have no pressure right now to make a decision. That's where we need to help them a little bit. But it's a more rational market. It's a good thing. What they're saying though is it seems like a bad thing for people whose income is related to the market. So us as real estate agents that are fully commission-based, mortgage brokers who make their income based on sales, developers, builders, people in the construction business. So all those people are feeling, the tightness as well. But that's where we got to come back to our business plans and, planning out our business and making sure that we're working right now at our goals too, because it's not a bad market. It's just definitely different than what it's been the 3 years. But I think it's going to be sort of the new norm, so we're going to get used to it. But yeah.
Since we know number of units is going up and the average home price is
Yes.
when you're talking to a buyer or seller, either way, because it works for both, but
Yes.
you can tell them this is good.
Yes, exactly.
Going up, but then there's no movement.
Yeah.
What would you say the probability of from 1 to 10? What's the major reason of no movement happening? Because people want to ask that question.
Yeah. The major movement, in my opinion, and it's all opinion-based, is that prices are still too high. Total. Prices are still 30% higher than they were in 2019. That's still very high. It's still too high, right? So the 33,000 listings we have, they're sitting there because the price is too high.
But when you say that to a buyer, then he says, then should I wait and it will drop?
Well, we just show that the prices are going up month over month.
Yeah,
so.
that's overall prices. So if you're sitting on the market and haven't sold yet and prices are going up everywhere else, then you definitely know that you're priced incorrectly.
Yep. I still think it goes back to motivation though.
Yeah.
Like if you've got clients that are saying, I'm going to sell only if it goes for this price or I'm going to buy at this price, like there's no motivation. They're just testing the market.
Yeah.
But if they got a baby coming, a divorce happening, death, like those are motivators to actually sell.
Yeah.
But if you don't have those, then those types of buyers and sellers aren't going to sell. But they need a motivation.
The benefit of this market is once you put it on the market, you'll know very quickly if you're overpriced or not. You'll know within 5 days. If you don't have a showing, you know
You're
it's
overpriced.
priced. And it's not staging or the photos or or the neighbor. Like it's honestly just price.
Yeah.
And it's
Because we've seen listings that we've underpriced by a lot just in the last couple of weeks, and they get a lot of showings. But the ones that listed too high, you get crickets. It's nothing.
Yeah.
So it's very obvious.
I came across a few people when I was leasing a few properties. Most of them applicants are divorced, single mothers, but they want to buy definitely next year.
exactly.
So they just need to get out of their current situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's another life event, one of the Ds, right? Divorce is a big one for sure. And especially, typically the couple will rent. If one stays in the house, maybe the other one will rent, but they do want to buy within 2 or 3 years. And I've got another thing, I don't know when it's going to pop up, but stats used to show that Canadians would buy within 8 years of renting, but now they're buying within 2 to 3 years of renting. So they're buying a lot quicker than they used to because of life events. They just need a year or so to kind of get comfortable, and then they're going to buy. So on that point, anyone that's working leases and tenants right now, please have a CRM or some way to connect with these people, because you're not going to call them all the time once they get into that rental property. But you definitely need a way to keep in touch with them around that 11-month, 10-month mark, getting into the next year, because they probably are going to buy. So that's the lesson for agents, to get them into your CRM, make sure there's something auto running for them, and have a follow-up schedule with your tenants.
Also, I see compare Q1 and Q2
Yeah.
based on a lot of people we meet on open house and people we talk with. Q1, most of the people who bought were people who extended their budget from $1 million to maybe $1.50 million because of the 10% cap. And soon, when Q2 comes, those people slow down or shifted their budget back to 900.
Yeah.
But most of the people in Q2 who are buying is people who are buying and selling, if it makes sense
Yep.
to them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
what I see.
Interesting.
I see. But Q1, you didn't have many buyers who
More.
were just buying and selling. at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
But now Q2 is full of those.
Yeah, because now I think they're feeling the crunch. They want to do it before winter market and before summer market. Right? I think people are enjoying their summer right now as well. So that's all. I felt overall it's more good news. It's less good news for investors and people that were into flipping, but I think it's better news for people that want to enjoy real estate and live in it.
I've got stuff that was negative though.
No, negative. That's only positive stuff. I don't know. My leftover ones are kind of negative now. I'll just keep going though. Like, yeah, this one's saying Canadian renters are waiting for home prices to drop before buying, but they could be disappointed. So this is sort of a message we want to show them, that prices are actually increasing every month. But they're stabilizing a little bit, which is why now is sort of a sweet spot to get into the market, right? And doing proper budgeting and making sure that their cash flow is okay. But there was a survey that said 54% of renters plan to buy a property, and a third of those within the next 2 years. So that's quicker than we've ever seen before. So again, it just comes back to my CRM and your training with Katelyn as well, making sure that you're organizing all of that. And if you do have tenants that are saying, I'm waiting for prices to go down, we may have to show them some housing graphs to show that it might not go down, but that right now is a sort of a really interesting little spot. And some people will not buy, and they'll always just rent, and that's okay too, because there are stats that show that the cost of renting is not too far off from the cost of owning right now, so nothing wrong with that either.
So I asked ChatGPT. Is anybody getting involved in that? Hopefully you guys are using.
Yeah, usually it's people's right arm right now. It's your therapist and your business coach. And
You still have to be careful about the whole thing there, but you got to be careful what it tells you, because it lies, right? Mm-hmm. But I just asked it, like, what's going on with the market, right? It says here that high interest rates still hurt buyers' confidence, right? So a lot of buyers that, what this year? We've seen what one cut this year, or in June? No, we didn't get a cut, right? It was stayed the same. But they're saying that buyers can't qualify for as much as they used to. Would that be true? Looking at Varan here. Buyers today, would they qualify for as much as they did? Obviously in 22 they didn't, because the interest rates were quite a bit lower. So that means that the same income doesn't qualify as much as it did 2 years ago.
Yep.
So that's one of the issues, right? Mm-hmm. Can't wait for as much as, they can't qualify for as much as they used to. They're waiting for more cuts before jumping back in. We just said there's not going to be more cuts. Are cautious about overextending themselves, and renewals for some people are coming higher.
Yep.
Does anybody have any clients with mortgage renewals coming up? No?
Yeah,
I'm just curious how difficult that is, right? So buyers on the sidelines, not because they can't find homes, but because the borrowing's still too expensive and risky. So that's what they're saying here. So there's 33,000 homes out there, and we're saying, what's going on? 33, how come nobody's buying? Well, this is one of the reasons here. The belief has shifted from the real estate only goes up, the prices might drop. Many buyers now expect to better deals. Sellers, in this case, are still anchored in the 21-22 peak pricing. Anybody have that? Mm-hmm. That your sellers just don't want to resist?
Yeah.
And what they're saying here now, this has created a bid-ask spread. So that the sellers want their 21-22 prices. And buyers, because of the mortgage rates going up, don't qualify as much as they used to. So now we've got this gap, and that's why we're sitting there with 33,000 listings, right? Investors are selling off, so a lot of this condominiums we talked about, a lot of them being vacant. A lot of the condominiums are being sold from investors, or getting rid of them. During 21-22, we were saying that 25, maybe 30% of all condominiums are being sold to investors, so that's all gone, right?
Yeah.
And Airbnb listings are turning into listings as well. So Airbnb listings, a lot of people are realizing that's not what it wants to be. Particularly up north in the cottage country, a lot of cottage country towns have now disallowing Airbnb. So these guys are trying to sell these places. Just a word of caution: if you're selling places, I'm aware of 2 of them now. One in particular, I'll just talk about. It's a townhouse up in Collingwood area. You know the Collingwood area, and they've got all those places that the management company will.
Like Blue Mountain Village area.
Blue Mountain Village or Thornberry or Cranberry, or whatever those places are called. And the managed company will put your unit into a pool, right? And then they'll rent it out to either as a hotel style or as an Airbnb style. You know what I'm talking about, where you buy these investors and whatnot. So now these guys are going to sell these properties here, and surprise, there's a 13% HST on all these properties.
Do you know why?
So all of a sudden now it's a business operation. It's no longer a principal residence, because these are investment properties anyways, right? So now they're all subject to HST. So we just caught one by friend. Do we fix that? Did that hurt anybody, or?
No, we just listed the property, so.
So we just listed the property, and we just caught on to that after we listed the property. Luckily, we didn't sell it. So that's a problem, right? So that's going on. Oversupply of condos, pre-construction, we know all about that. Immigration, affordability. Immigration is down, but it's not dead.
Yeah. I was going to comment on that too. Temporary immigration is down, like non-permanents. These are like your international students, your temporary workers, but permanent immigration is still steady. So that's what's affecting, though, your rental market, right?
The students.
Students,
Yeah,
yeah.
students themselves. No. So there's reasons for everything here, just to answer your question there, and it depends which one is going to answer your client's question too, right? So there's all kinds of reasons. But the fact is that if it's not priced right, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. And CMHC is saying that we need more housing starts, 32,000 more, in order for prices to come down, which is interesting. They're predicting that we need 75,000 more starts a year just to keep up with supply, but also they recognize that affordability is the main problem, but increasing supply will inevitably help with pricing. That's what the thinking is, right? So there's a lot of reasons. If we just had prices to come down, though, that would be awesome.
It's so confusing, though.
I know. So you can think about why your consumers are confused.
Because
Right?
look at this article here. It says here that Canada is now building 2 homes per person added to the population. So we're building 75,000 homes, or whatever it is, per year. I don't know. They're building 2 homes for every new person that comes to Canada. That's okay.
Yeah.
For every new immigrant, there's 2 homes being built. So where's the shortage?
I guess you were saying, I don't think there's a shortage.
I think the shortage is they're forecasting 10 years from now. It's not today. Today we have lots of supply, but I think they're forecasting because we're not starting new construction and for how long it takes. In 10 years, we're going to be in big trouble.
They're also saying that Toronto condo crisis, why a full-blown meltdown is unlikely for now. Unlikely to happen. A lot of people think that the condo market's crashed, but they're saying here that the number of condominiums now being built has been dropped drastically, and that they're expecting that another 3 or 4 years there's going to be a shortage of condos. Right? Because they're not building there, right? So that makes sense too. So if you got a condominium, you buy or rent it, sell or rent. Prices are going to go up. So let's wait. Good. And cottage country, same thing. Apparently cottage country, they're seeing quite a bit of a drop in demand up there. Their days on the market are quite a bit more than what they're used to.
Yeah.
A lot of people bought up there during the pandemic and realized that the cottages are paying the butt.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing, talking to friends and family too, and reading some articles. So a lot of people bought cottage property in the pandemic when they were remote working and they had more time. And then now kids are older, they're into sports, everything's back open, people are moving back to the office, and they actually just don't even want to take care of a cottage anymore. It's a lot of work. Now they're selling them out with the prices that they bought them in the pandemic, and those are not prices right now.
Yeah, I read articles too where people have families. They moved up there to work, but then they forgot that their 4-year-old kid, all of a sudden, when their 5-year-old have to go to school, and they're thinking, well, where's the school? Right? So,
Yeah, grocery stores, everything.
But is everyone back into the office, or are we more in flex work mode? Like, I know we're all flexible here, but what's happening in corporate land? Like, I'm hearing it's more hybrid, which is
A lot of my
should
friends
be.
work from home.
It would be such a shame to go through a pandemic where we all got to have work-life balance and not commute for 2 hours to go fully back. A hybrid model is where they should be, in my opinion. Yeah.
I think Scotia and RBC, they want 4 days in the office.
That's a lot. I just don't think it's real. It's not realistic for a human to only have 2 days off a week, and then something's got to change. The pandemic was our opportunity to change how we work. So.
It is not from the organization, it is from the city too, because all the malls and the shops and you go to downtown, underground, everything is just closed.
Everything's closed. Yeah.
They are raising a lot of noise that people should come back.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to be able to force people to come back. It's not going to work. That's just not. And they can be closed because they don't have retail workers anymore. From what I mean, no one wants to work at a mall or a store anymore. Like I wonder where all the Bay people went. Like I don't know if they got other employment
one
or.
more issue, if you see all the banks, people are still working from home.
Yeah.
Full-time employee of Scotia and doing 2 contracts based for California-based company on their incorporation. So that is the biggest challenge the government is. I mean,
They're double dipping, you mean, or no?
2 laptops.
Oh, like 2
Like 2
laptops. Like
jobs?
there's 2 jobs, one company.
They're billing.
I know people doing 3 jobs.
Oh my god.
Because they
Scotia
can.
full-time employee, 1 contract for California-based company, another something for Vancouver.
And they're fully productive at all of
Yeah,
them?
working 60 hours, but they are making 400K.
I see some clients working for the same bank through the agency. They tell me, don't give the mortgage to Scotia Bank or TD. We work for them.
Yeah, because remote work, that's hard to track.
I mean, if you need more money, you get more
And
jobs.
as long as you're productive, is the only thing. If you have you're productive at all of them, you're fulfilling the job requirements.
No, there is a backup for that too. If I'm working on 3 contracts, I can hire somebody else who is, whatever, same skill set. He
It's all
will be
budget.
working in my home, working from home.
Yeah.
He will be helping on that.
Yeah.
Unless there is a video.
So you get really
People
creative.
find all
The IT's getting fancy
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. People in general don't have just single streams of income anymore. It's common to have multiple, rightly or wrongly.
It's not affordable with a single.
That's true. I mean, you need 235 to buy a home, and we're only making 100 grand.
So I'm not sure anybody heard that from home or not, but he's suggesting that some people are double dipping. They're charging their employer 40 hours a week, and they're billing somebody else, another guy, 40 hours a week as well for the same, but they're only giving them 20 hours each, right?
So that's why they want them back in the office so they can watch
Monitor.
them. Yeah.
It's too bad. It's too bad how people get creative, right? I remember the guys in Ottawa, Union in Ottawa, I think they were ordered back as well. I think I mentioned this before. They were ordered back to work in the office so many days a week, and then the union said, okay. And I think they actually said that they want to support the local businesses, local restaurants, so on and so forth. They want people to come back into the offices and get things going again. And I don't know if it's a union or who it was or just some protesters. They said, okay, we're going to come back, but we're going to boycott the businesses. I'm thinking like, what's like
So mean.
you're getting paid from tax dollars,
Yeah.
right? You're on the tax payroll, and you're not going to. I don't know. So it's weird how people think. So.
And there's going to be worse again for the oil industry. Yeah, the war going on right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Worse or better? Isn't oil going to go up?
Yeah.
Isn't that good for? Isn't that good for Canada?
That's why people are leaving Toronto. They're going to Alberta.
Isn't that good for us?
Good for us, but if we drill and get the oil from the ground, if we are just thinking that we have a lot of oil, it doesn't going to work for us. Our politicians have very short sight.
Yeah.
We are not thinking.
Yeah. So if we can start refining oil and then making gas out of it, it'd be better too. Right?
Yeah. So the market's interesting. We're getting more creative right now with deals. I'm getting a lot of questions on the weekend. We're working on a deal right now, Nelson and I, that the purchase is conditional on the seller finding a home, which is also conditional on the purchaser selling their home. So there's like 3 or 4 conditions. And I think you have to be creative in a market like this.
You have to
I think people
collaborate.
need those conditions. You got to time them out well. But I don't think there's anything wrong with being creative, protecting both sides with these conditions. I think we gotta think more, and it's not just a standard deal anymore, right? Yeah. So it's interesting. If you guys have creative deals you're working on, let us know so we can share them as part of our Tales on the Street. Maybe not just open houses, but we can share creative deal making, what's happening. But yeah.
All right. So just touch on that for a second here. Okay. So this is you. So has anybody done a land assembly? And you get like 4 properties, and the guy at the end says, "Oh, I want twice as much as everybody else because I'm the last guy to sell." So now we've got these guys here. This is conditional upon selling the buyer's properties, conditional upon the seller finding a property. What if the buyer decides he wants to get $1 million for $800,000 property, then the whole thing gets screwed up. So I've seen conditions agents in the past where they've said, okay, I'll consider your SPP, but I want to go and look at your property. I want to know what you're going to price
What's
it
the
at, and I
plan?
want to
What's
see
the
it, and
strategy?
I want to see it on MLS.
I think that's okay. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so I
like
want to see it
why?
on MLS, and if I see it on MLS at the price that I think it's going to sell for, then I'll maybe accept your SPP.
Yeah.
But I'm not blindly going to put an SPP on there without knowing what's going on with that backup.
I even had a broker request. I was the agent on the other side that I had to send them weekly summaries of all the showings that were happening on the property. So they took an offer on my client, conditional on us selling, but they wanted a weekly summary from me of how many showings we had, which is actually fair, right? Why not?
Good.
But yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about sales strategies. Not really.
Speaking of, I tried to give you an opening. That's what I was trying to do for you.
Speaking of. So I just read an article in Real Estate Magazine about getting back to the basics. How human connection gets deals done. So I think we've been talking a lot about this. And even I've noticed as the market has become challenging, things are inconsistent for everybody, pressure's mounting, and many agents are feeling stuck right now. So I'm noticing a lot of agents coming to us trying to figure out what that new tool is, what that new lead source is, how to market themselves, and everyone's just getting a little panicked right now trying to figure out what that magic tool is. And so they're saying right now that this is not the time to reinvent the wheel. So the way that the things that are working the best right now is not the new stuff. It's actually just the foundation that this business was built on, which is just trust, relationships, and conversations. The data, it's 70 to 90% of an agent's business comes from repeat and referral. So I think we can all agree on that, right? So for some reason, even though we know that 70 to 80 or 70 to 90% comes from referrals or repeat clients, even today's market, they're saying 90 to 95% of deals are coming from relationships from the past. But agents still are panicking and are looking to do like online leads, social media, AI, digital ads. Everyone's looking into like all these new things. But the problem is like the strangers that we're like looking to attract are really just not ready to buy. So a lot of agents are trying to get away from having to build relationships still, which is actually still your highest return. So I'll have agents say, business isn't coming, what do I do? And we'll say, call your past clients or call your friends and family, and they'll give us a look like, no, I'm not doing that. And then they're wondering why their business is not working. And it's because we're not just doing the things we're supposed to be doing, which is talking to people we know. So even we've got a leads program right now, people are getting really frustrated with how bad the leads are, but there's a whole whack of business that you guys are forgetting to touch base with, or maybe you touched base with them last year and they said they weren't thinking about doing anything, so you just never talked to them ever again. So I think right now we need to stop trying to go after the online leads, stop trying to go after like all this new stuff, and really just focus on building connections with all your past clients. They're saying the old school tactics are making a comeback, so open houses, door knocking, client check-ins, community involvement, personal outreach. So these are not outdated. These are actually necessary steps that are actually building your business. Even doing like those Carly was mentioning at the beginning, doing client seminars, Fran's going out to the community and doing like Ribfest. So like thinking about all those old school things is what's actually working. So we need to get offline and start actually building relationships with people.
I saw a cool thing on the weekends. An agent in Durham did an outdoor movie theater night. She got one of those inflatable movie theaters and invited all her clients to come watch a movie outside.
Yeah.
Kind of cute.
I think there was another team in Oshawa that did a, what was it? Summer solstice party.
Yeah.
But for agents,
Yep.
not even for clients, just for agents to get together. So they're just kind of thinking about the community as well. Maybe agents they've done deals with and stuff like that. So this is the time to get back to the basics, which is something we probably would have never thought to do, but
I think with
we
school
have
over
to.
too, there's going to be more people home. So if you're inclined to do door knocking, then there should be more people home maybe.
Yeah. And you don't have to do door knocking, but I need to know. No, but I know.
It's so funny. You just slipped back in the door knocking there.
No, I do like door knocking, but I think if you're not going to do it,
Yeah.
I think open houses is actually the way to go right now. Because you can incorporate door knocking. I think going straight up to a house and just saying, hey, do you want to sell your house is a little scary these days. But if you've got an open house to invite the neighbors to and you have a little bit more of a strategy with it,
Yeah.
I think, or you just sold a property and you're going and just letting the neighbors know what you sold it for, I think that's probably more successful than maybe straight cold door knocking. I don't know. Who knows? I hear people talk about door knocking all the time and how motivating it is, but I haven't heard anyone convert one yet. So maybe that's what's going there. But anyways, get back to the basics. It was the point of that whole article.
Yep.
So if you,
And farming too, I guess. back to
farming, like get back to it and mostly just talking to people. If we're sitting at our desks all day and you guys aren't doing any active research or active outreach, you're gonna have a hard time in this market. So the online leads, all that stuff works, but not as good as what the facts are saying. Anyway, speaking of leads, we do have our leads program. I think it's going okay. We've everyone's been pretty active in it, letting me know when they get it. I have had a few agents getting upset that they're not fast enough to claim the leads. So I tested it this weekend actually and said, okay, fine. I'm gonna send out one lead in the morning. There was probably 5 agents that responded. So I was just handing off leads in the background to the agents that responded earlier that day, but not in that moment. And of course, today I'm getting responses from leads I was giving out on Saturday saying, oh, sorry, I had a family event, couldn't attend to it. I'm like, that is exactly why I'm not handing out leads that way, because you guys may be doing family barbecues in that moment or you're doing activities. So this is why we're going to the leads when you're gonna actively claim it, because then I know you're at your computer, you're at your phone, and you can work on it. So I was testing it a little bit, and
it's a lost lead if you don't respond to it right away.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's no point, right?
Yeah.
And the way that we're generating the leads, you have to respond to them. There's other lead gen where you don't necessarily need to respond to them right away. That could be something like a home evaluation or something. But this particular thing is like they're hot, they're looking, they want a list or they want to see that property.
Yeah. I had a few wanted to see properties.
Yeah.
I think the other problem too is that you're not the only property that they're looking at.
No, exactly. No,
so,
you're not.
So if you wait 2 days to get a hold of them, they're going to say, well, what property was that?
Yep, they have no idea what you're talking about.
They're not going to know what it is, but if you do it live while you're there, they're still talking on it.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So we are testing it. If anyone's curious though, this Wednesday I'm gonna hand out some recycled leads for probably 2023, 2024. So if you've been thinking about online leads or you wanna just talk to people this week because you're bored, I'm just gonna recycle a bunch of lists. I'll do it in person and at the office and at home. So if you just want a list of, 20 leads or so, I'll send out an email today with more info on that.
You did that before.
I've done it before and it's never been successful. But
I was going to say it was. I thought somebody had an appointment.
It was successful. We did have a couple appointments, but it was successful to the point to prove that you shouldn't be focusing on just online leads.
Or that you need to follow up with them immediately.
Or if I recall right, didn't some people say, I contacted them, but 2 or 3 of them already bought?
Exactly.
Yes, so that was where we learned that online leads do really work if you do it properly. So people were calling leads from 2024, and then they said, oh, I already bought a place, I already sold a place. So those were active leads, just the agent didn't follow up properly with it. So we missed an opportunity right there. So I'll be doing something like that this week if anyone wants to do that. The leads group is still open, so if you do want to be part of it, I've just been sending the video for it, and then most agents have been sending me a buyer's guide, a seller's guide, a presentation, and then I just want to know what CRM they're using. And that was kind of the requirement. Last week we did a Marshall Homes session on Wednesday. They talked about Ajax townhomes that are almost being built. They're going to be cracking the ground in July. They're reducing the prices, actually. They haven't even released those prices to us. So if you guys have any active clients, I think they're gonna be in the 600s. 600s for brand new. They say June 2026 is when they're gonna be done. It's called Time. So if you guys want some more information on that, we'll be sending it when they email it out to us. And then final thing, July 23rd, so it's in a month from now, Jonathan Griffiths, a lawyer in Durham and Scarborough, is gonna host a lunch and learn at the Mandarin in Ajax. So keep an eye out for that as well if you want a free lunch and hear from a lawyer.
And August 13th is our family golf day, so I think we'll start collecting RSVPs for that soon, so I have to let them know. We have some time, but just say the date for that as well.
Where's the Mandarin Ajax?
Brock.
Pickering.
Wait.
Pickering, okay.
Where Kips used to be.
Pickering, okay.
Is it Pickering?
It's Pickering.
Sorry.
It's like border.
It's like border of Pickering Village, Ajax. Okay, sorry, Pickering.
Just I know there's one in Oshawa
Yeah.
across the street from the airport, but not that one.
Fair. I will get, I'll have to do RSVPs for that because there can only fit 80 people in it. So I will send out RSVPs for that. So if you guys do want to come, it will require a sign up as well. And that's all I got.
Anybody's properties you want to talk about? No listings? Nope, 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 nope. Buyers I want to talk about? Buyers wants? Oh, 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 hands up.
A newly renovated one-bedroom condo.
Newly renovated 1-bedroom condo that's in Scarborough.
Yeah.
I thought that was sold already.
Nope.
It was sold to Alex, then
Yeah,
he gutted it.
it was sold.
Now we're redoing.
I thought you brought it back on the market and sold it already.
That's manifesting, yes.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah.
I had been talking about it for quite some time.
Not that long.
Did you
that's
sell?
okay.
Did you just sell one in Galloway?
Yeah. That was the house.
That was this. Oh, okay. I thought it was Galloway. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, a different one.
That's the one I bought and renovated. Hopefully it'll
He's hoping not to move into it.
No, we are flipping
Yeah.
it.
So you're looking for 400s?
close to 400.
Okay.
And if not, just sell it.
Yeah.
Where is that? Which address? Or not the unit number, but the street name?
921 Midland Avenue.
Midland. Okay.
Midland.
Is that the Parisienne?
Right next to Kennedy.
Is that the Parisienne building?
It is a pretty
How did I know that?
What?
How did I know that?
I don't want to know why you
I'll tell you later. No, it used to be a rental and they converted to condo, and that's why it's big units, right? Nice big units, and they're what electric, like baseboard, radiant, air conditioning.
Yeah, we built in 63, but the quarter started in 80.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it was a rental before, and then they converted it.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
I think it's a nice old solid building. I bet.
I think there's a lot of inventory that's not very nice right now. People don't have the cash flow or the energy to make those renovations. I don't think it's a bad idea. People want fresh, updated properties, and there's a lot of crappy inventory out there.
For
I
that
think.
price
So
point, too.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it would be a good case study.
And
It's
maintenance fee there are 572.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
So the advantage of that, there's no pool, there's no
Great.
weight room, there's no
Yeah.
anything, right? So you can walk to
Station.
the station, right?
Watching Kennedy and like the management is the best management I've dealt with so far. Like, it's such a well-managed building.
Yeah.
And the super is always around, so it's
Yeah.
Well, Alex will be telling us what he sold it for in 2 weeks.
hopefully in a week.
Hopefully in a week.
Good. I'm just reading online. An agent said that I think she's on the buyer side. The listing agent said, "Give me an offer and I'll take 3% commission." So he's just looking for an offer. I guess it's not a bad way to get something started, even if it's a low offer. Get it on paper, right? Yeah.
I would be willing to give somebody a bonus.
Okay, a little bonus. There we go.
Somebody's looking for what? A freehold townhouse for $700,000.
That should be doable.
Freehold.
Looking for freehold, not
Well, maybe not Pickering, but further out.
No, maybe Oshawa, Curtis.
You can get semis right now under 700,000 in Oshawa. I just got one yesterday.
Nice.
So you can get under 700 for semi-detached if they're willing to go to Oshawa. In nice area of Oshawa too.
There you go, Tess, Oshawa. All right, anything else? No, you're good? No, there is a holiday this current week. We don't have a Monday meeting because July 1st, Canada Day, is Tuesday. It's a very weird day for a stat. I don't think we had a Tuesday stat holiday in a while. So Monday, the office is open. Is it open? It's Monday. Monday's open. Tuesday's open as well, just no meeting on Monday.
10 to 4.
Yeah, 10 to 4 regular holiday hours on the Tuesday.
Perfect.
So you can still do all your offers on the holiday. Hopefully there's lots. Okay, guys, have a good week and a good 2 weeks. I guess we'll see you the week after.